Alzheimer's warning, 5 early signs after 60 most miss. If you find this helpful, please like and share this video. It could be life-saving for someone you love. Today we're talking about Alzheimer's disease, a devastating condition that affects millions. Early detection is key, and that's why we're focusing on people over 60. This age group is particularly vulnerable for a few reasons. First, the risk of cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's increases significantly with age. Think about it, nearly half of those over 85 will develop Alzheimer's. Second, our brains naturally change as we age. Hormone production declines, and we see structural changes in the brain, which can increase the risk of dementia. Finally, America is aging rapidly. By 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be of retirement age. That means we need to be more aware than ever of the warning signs of Alzheimer's. Sign 1, memory loss. We're not talking about occasionally forgetting where you put your keys. We're talking about forgetting important conversations, appointments, or events soon after they happen. Sarah, a retired nurse in her early 60s, always took pride in her sharp mind. But recently, she started having troubling episodes of forgetfulness. One evening, Sarah and her husband were at dinner, talking about their weekend plans. An hour later, Sarah asked her husband about their plans again, forgetting they had just discussed it. At first, her family dismissed it as a senior moment, but these episodes became more frequent and more noticeable. Sarah would forget appointments she had written down, misplace things she used regularly, and ask the same questions repeatedly. Her family began to worry. What was initially brushed off as simple forgetfulness was actually an early warning sign of something more serious. The buildup of beta-amyloid plaques in the brain, a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. These plaques disrupt communication between brain cells, leading to those memory lapses that Sarah was experiencing. Sign 2, difficulty with language and communication. This can show up as difficulty finding the right word, following conversations, or repeating yourself. John, a retired accountant in his late 60s, prided himself on his sharp mind and financial skill. But recently, he'd been experiencing frustrating changes. Balancing his checkbook, a task he used to do in his sleep, became a struggle. He would miscalculate totals, forget to record transactions, and find it difficult to keep track of his expenses. His family noticed that he was becoming increasingly frustrated when trying to handle simple math problems that he used to solve with ease. John's difficulties weren't limited to numbers. He would often pause mid-sentence, searching for the right word, or use a completely unrelated word instead. Conversations became challenging as he struggled to follow along and keep track of what was being said. These changes in John's communication skills were a red flag. Abnormal tau protein tangles, another hallmark of Alzheimer's, were likely disrupting the normal function of his brain cells. These tangles interfere with the intricate network of neurons, affecting the areas responsible for language, memory, and cognitive function. Sign 3, confusion and disorientation. Margaret, a loving grandmother in her 70s, was driving home from her weekly grocery shopping trip. She had always been independent and confident in her abilities. She'd been taking the same route for years, knew every turn and landmark by heart. It was a routine she could do with her eyes closed, but on this particular day, something felt different. The familiar route seemed strange and disorienting. As she drove, she began to doubt her memory and her sense of direction. The streets seemed unfamiliar, the landmarks out of place. It was as if she was driving through a foreign land. Margaret realized she was lost. She couldn't remember how to get back to the main road, let alone her own house. Her confusion while driving was a turning point. It was a clear sign that something was amiss, something beyond normal aging. Her family knew they needed to seek medical advice. Experts say the hippocampus, a part of the brain crucial for memory and spatial navigation, was likely being affected by the disease process. This explained her increasing disorientation and confusion. Sign 4, impaired spatial awareness. This can show up as trouble judging distances, navigating familiar places, or understanding spatial relationships, like feeling lost in your own neighborhood or struggling to park in a familiar spot. Robert, a gardener in his mid-60s, had always found solace and joy in his garden. He knew every inch of his backyard, could identify each plant by its leaf, and had an uncanny ability to arrange flowers in stunning combinations. His friends often marveled at his green thumb and artistic flair, but lately something felt off. Robert started having trouble judging distances while gardening. He would plant flowers too close together, then realize they were overcrowded. He would misjudge the space needed for a new shrub, resulting in a cramped and awkward arrangement. His once precise gardening skills seemed to have vanished. It wasn't just gardening, everyday tasks became a struggle. Robert's wife noticed that he was becoming increasingly unsure about how to use basic tools. She watched as he fumbled with the simplest of tasks. He struggled to measure accurately, misplaced his gardening gloves, and even had trouble finding his way back to the house from the garden shed. These changes in Robert's spatial awareness were subtle but significant. They were small clues pointing to a larger issue. They pointed to potential damage in the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for spatial memory and navigation. Understanding these signs can help in early diagnosis and better management of Alzheimer's disease. Sign 5. Mood swings and personality changes. Linda, a lively community volunteer in her late 60s, was known for her joyful laugh and positive outlook. She was always the first to lend a helping hand, always had a smile on her face, and genuinely enjoyed socializing with her friends. But lately, Linda's friends had noticed a change in her demeanor. The once lively and cheerful Linda seemed to be fading away, replaced by someone who was often distant and melancholic. She seemed withdrawn, irritable and prone to sudden mood swings. One day she'd be her cheerful self again, chatting and joining activities with enthusiasm. Her laughter filled the room, and her friends felt relieved, thinking she was back to normal. The next day she'd be quiet, withdrawn, and easily upset. She would snap at her friends for no apparent reason and refuse to participate in social gatherings she once loved. Linda's friends were shocked by her sudden mood swings. They were worried and unsure how to help or what was causing the changes. They knew something was wrong, but they couldn't quite put their finger on it. Their once vibrant friend was slipping away, and they felt helpless. The disease was starting to impact the parts of her brain that control emotions, causing mood swings and behavior changes. Recognizing these signs early can lead to better support and improve quality of life. Alzheimer's is a complex disease, and these are just a few of the many early signs. If you or a loved one is experiencing any of these symptoms, please don't ignore them. Early detection is crucial for managing symptoms and potentially slowing down the progression of the disease. Talk to your doctor, get a proper diagnosis, and explore the available treatment options. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are resources available to support you every step of the way. Thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more informative content on brain health and Alzheimer's awareness. Your support helps us reach more people and potentially make a difference in the fight against this devastating disease.